I would like to now introduce Clifford Arnold, the president of our USA Dance Charlottesville chapter, for a few opening comments.
Welcome, everybody. This is our second monthly online extravaganza. Thanks to Tara for joining us. Thanks for all of you for joining us. Since I am the president of the organization, I get to do whatever I want, and I take this opportunity to show you a children's book called Sophie and Lou, which I've been reading to my son this week. He's 2.5 years old. And the book includes a storyline at a ballroom dance studio. How about that? Did you ever know there was a children's book with ballroom dancing in it? So I will hold the book up when I switch my background so you can see it. It's called Sophie and Lou. I think that's all I've got to say. I'm going to hand it back over to Cindy to introduce Tara.
All right, thank you, Clifford. Tara McGough is co-owner and lead instructor at Blue Light Ballroom and has been dancing and teaching ballroom for over 11 years. She enjoys teaching both social and competitive students.
No.
And is a valued coach for competitive couples. Her competitive students span the categories of newcomer, bronze, silver, through open gold. Her students regularly receive top accolades at various major competitions, including multiple top male student awards. Tara has been awarded Top Female Teacher Awards in 2014, 2016, and in 2018, Tara took home the second Top Female Teacher Award at the Washington Open Dance Sport Competition in May, as well as the Top Female Teacher at Yuletide Ball that December. 2019 found Tara taking some time away from dance to have and care for her second son, Julian. But she's back in the ballroom and thrilled to be teaching again. So at this point, I'm going to hand this back over to Tara.
Hello, thank you. So Cliff's my co-pilot today. He is going to be giving me a hand fielding questions. So when you type your question into the comment section, he'll be the one to read it out to me, and if it fits the moment, we'll go ahead and talk about it. But hi, this is my first official online class, so I'm nervous, but it's okay. Today we're going to be doing American Rumba. And so if you have never done Rumba before, we're going to start sort of with a couple of basic technique drills and exercises to move your body a little bit. We're going to talk about a few figures, but I really want to focus on kind of things that you can do at home in a smaller space, maybe without a partner, because I know that not everybody has a partner right now to dance with at home. So American Rumba is a rhythm dance. It's a spot dance. You can do it on a spot without traveling very far. We were originally supposed to do, I want to say tango. So we decided to not do that and do something that was more productive to practice at home. So what we're going to do basically is I'll start with the basic step. And what I'm going to try to do is do it with my back to you as well as facing you. I'll try when I have my back to you to turn so you can hear me talk. If you can't hear me talk, maybe say something in the comments section so Cliff can know because he's muted or like his speakers aren't on. So if you're having trouble hearing me, please say something so that way we can fix that. Anyways, if you want to dance along with us, that's great. But like Cindy was saying, we also are recording this session so you can play it back whenever you want, as many times as you want. So what we're going to do first is talk about just a couple of basic elements of rhythm dancing. What we want to think about with rhythm dancing, can you see my feet from here? Make sure you can, okay, good. So, cool. So with rhythm dancing, the idea, well, with any dancing, you want to keep your feet on the floor as much as possible. There are a couple of exceptions when you do kicks or figures like that. But even in smooth dancing, you want to maintain as much contact with the floor as you can, because we really don't have all that many tactical things to work with. We've got our partner, we've got the music, which again isn't super tactical, but we've got our shoes in the floor. And so we want to utilize, this is the biggest tool we have, is the floor. We want to utilize it to not only help our balance, but help our quality of movement. So when we're doing our steps, we're going to keep our feet glued to the floor. What we do in order to move our feet is lift our heels up off the ground, but we don't want to pick our toes up off the ground as well. We're going to lift our heels up off the floor, keep your toes on the ground, and slide forward. So this is true of all your rhythm dances. If it's your rumba, cha-cha, swing, bolero, mambo, there are slightly different technical aspects to each of those, but it's general consensus, toes on the floor. The other thing about our rhythm dances in particular is that we have turnout. So if we're standing with our feet together, our heels are together, and our toes are apart, as opposed to our smooth dances when we're in closed dance position, which have our toes in line straight forward. So this is our first position for smooth dancing, and this is our first position for rhythm dancing. We've got our toes turned out and our heels together. When we're taking these steps, I'm using Cliff's screen to make sure I don't get out of your view. When we're taking these steps, we're going to lift the heels off the ground like we talked about. We're going to push the ball of the foot not only forward, but we're going to push it down into the ground. Because the other thing we're achieving in our rhythm dances is this sensation of being pitched forward. So that I take my center of gravity, and rather than being straight up and down, definitely not backwards, I want to take my center of gravity and pitch it over the balls of my feet, right? So I'm kind of like breaking the tape at the end of the marathon. We're over the balls of our feet. We're going to lift up the heel of the moving leg. We're going to push our toes into the floor to move the foot forward. Good. When we progress onto that foot, we're going to come off of our standing leg. So much of what we talk about in dancing has to do with the leg that's moving to our next destination, but we also have to make sure we don't overlook the foot that's getting us there, because that's really where the power comes from. So what we've got is my heel off the ground, my foot's going to begin to move, I'm pitched forward, but ultimately it's my standing leg. So if I'm moving with my left leg, it's my right leg that's going to propel me onto my new foot, right? So all this is just, taking your first step. Super easy, don't let me psych you out. We're going to go ahead and take our first step off of our standing leg and arrive on our new foot, ball flat. I'm going to leave that foot behind. As we go to our next step, we're going to again pull the free foot through, keeping our toes on the floor and pushing into the ground. And then to take the step, I'm going to come off of my standing leg. That's going to send me forward, right? So we take our standing leg, we'll talk more about this later, but we can take our standing leg and pull our free leg through, send it forward, and then push off the standing leg. Okay, do we have any questions, Cliff? All right, that's good, right? No questions is a good sign, yeah? So that's the idea. It's really weird to not have any feedback, but I'm really glad Cliff is here, because if it was just me here, I'd be talking to the lamp, and that wouldn't be good for me. And there's no one here to laugh at my bad jokes. All right, so we talk about quality of movement, moving forward from foot to foot. I think since we are recording this for posterity, I don't want to take as long as I maybe normally would to go over these things and have people do repetitive drills, maybe a couple of times per element, because I know you can come back and look at this later if it strikes you. So one more time for this sake, and just because I feel like it, we'll go the other direction. Why not? So we've got our free leg, our toes are turned out, our body weight is pitched forward from our center of gravity, like where our belt buckle would be. We're going to take our free foot, we're going to keep the toes on the ground, we're going to slide it. Our body moves because we come off of our standing leg, not because we go on to the moving leg. Is there, ready to accept our body weight. We come off of the standing leg and we arrive ball flat. The standing or the previous standing leg that you transferred the weight off of remains where you left it. right? So I slide my foot forward, toes are on the ground. I push out of my standing leg, and when my weight transfers, my new free leg remains where it was. So if you've done a dance like foxtrot, for example, we have what we call foot follow through, where I take a step and my free leg collects underneath me, right? It collects underneath me no matter what direction I'm going. That's sort of an automatic response. What we have in rumba and our rhythm dances, for the most part, is the opposite of that. When I take a step, I do not want to get foot follow through. The completion of the step leaves the foot behind, stays on the ground. Same thing if I take another step, I pull it through intentionally to my new destination, and then this foot stays behind. Okay? So that's walking forward. Good stuff? Excellent. So please, like Cindy was saying, if you have any questions, ask them. I like questions. But what we're going to go ahead and do is a couple of body exercises. So that's sort of how we take those are just forward steps. That's how we approach taking our forward steps. What we want to do now is talk about how we're going to move our body and sort of, I want to say exercise our body, but it's not an exercise, it's just repetitive motions to get you comfortable with the body actions that are required at a certain level of dancing. There are all different levels of dancing, social dancing and beyond, but since we're all, not all of us, since a lot of us are by ourselves playing solo right now, I felt like kind of doing a little more technique work might be beneficial to those of us that don't have a partner. But if you do have a partner, I'm going to go ahead and do the same drill with a partner focused approach so that you can use it either way. What we want to do is start to get our knees and our hips involved in what we're doing with our steps. And this is where we're going to introduce our basic rumba step, which is a box. But in the meantime, what we want to have in our American rhythm dancing, we either have one bent knee or we have two straight legs as we're moving through a step. We never, asterisk, there are a few exceptions, but we never want to end up with two bent knees. And if I can request a thumbnail for the cover of this video, it's this. See, there's no laughter. It's hard, man. So what we're going to do is a little exercise to get our knees working in opposition. We've got our body weight starting out centered with our toes apart, heels together, right? I'm doing it sideways because I want to make a point. What we want to have is one bent knee and one straight leg, right? So I've got a bent knee and a straight leg. The straight leg, I can get a little closer, I think. That'll help. The straight leg is going to drop back. So I've got my hands on my hips to show you. This is my hips being straight in line. And my right hand here, when I settle my hip back into the heel of my foot, is going to drop back and away. And my left hand here is slightly forwards. What we can do at this point is then switch our hips so that our other hip, the left side, drops back. The right side drops a little forward. You can see as I'm doing that my knees are alternating, one bent, one straight, one bent, one straight. So this is a great drill to do. You can do it with the littlest amount of space. You can do it while you're brushing your teeth, while you're waiting for the water to boil. You can do it whenever you want. And this is a really good way to train your body to get comfortable with the fact that you're never going to have two soft knees. Again, this is not good.
There's a question.
There's a question.
Yeah. What about two straight legs? Do you ever have two straight legs?
You do. You absolutely do. And that's a good question because that's one of the differences, the main differences between American rhythm and international Latin styling. When you do American rhythm styling, when we take a step, we prepare, we go on to a bent or a flexed knee with our body weight, and then we work out of the knee, and then we achieve two straight legs. And let's say I was taking another forward step, I pull this leg through with a soft knee. I'd arrive on the soft knee, I'd push out of the foot, 2 straight legs happens for a second, and then I'm back to one and the other. When we're talking about like international rumba, international cha-cha, you're going to arrive on the straight leg. So you're gonna bend the knee when it's in transition, but instead of arriving into that pressed bent knee, you're going to arrive onto a straight leg. It's a lot sharper and the leg lines look a little cleaner. I like rhythm styling because I think it's a little more earthy and I think it's a little bit more true to the origins of the different dances as far as just the history of them goes. But I mean, they're both beautiful in their own right. And I trained doing international styling, so I had to kind of come back and relearn the American styling, but honestly, I've found that I like it a lot more. So does that answer the question? I'm looking at Cliff, like it's his question. Who knows? So we've got our walking steps. We've got our hips switching back and forth. I'll do it from the front too. So you drop back. Now what we don't want to do, and I'm glad I'm gonna do this from the front. I can scoot forward. What we don't want to do is go like this and get this break in our body line, right? We want to take our hips and think about taking our hips over our heels as opposed to out past the side of my foot, right? When we talk about walking and moving our weight, if we take our body weight back to go forward, we're going to have a much more comfortable balance situation than we would otherwise. All our body weight's going to be on one line. When my hips start going out like this and I'm trying to walk forward, it's going to cause a lot of wobbly stuff that we don't want to have to deal with. So my hips are going back to the heels of my foot. And this is, if there's one thing you can take out of this class, it's just do this all of the time, whenever you can. It's the most important thing, in my opinion, to start building your Cuban motion and to really start feeling confident in it. Hugely helpful. So let's do the basic step, shall we? Our basic step is a box, and we're going to do it with our forward walking, back walking, and our side steps. So I'll do this with my back to you. If you have any trouble hearing me, let us know, and we'll make sure that we remedy that. But this way, it's a little easier to see what we're doing. At least for me, this is my opinion. So we've got our. Let me make sure my feet are right there. We've got our body pitched slightly forward over the balls of our feet. We're going to move forward on the left foot. So this is basically the same. It is the same step for leaders and followers. We're just going to do it at different times. So right now, if you're participating, everybody do the same thing. And then when you're dancing with a partner, whoever's doing the leader's role is going to use their left leg, and whoever's doing the follower's role is going to use their right leg to begin. So we're starting with the left leg forward with the ball of the foot. We're walking forward. We're walking side. We're closing our feet and switching weight, and this is where that hip and knee drill comes in and switch. My right leg is going to go backwards. My left leg is going to pull to the side, and my right leg is going to pull in, and again, we're going to switch our knees, and then you can see my heels too are also switching at that same rate, and that's going to help you keep track of what leg or foot your body weight is on at that point in time. If I end up kind of flat with 50-50 weight on both feet, I'm either going to have to guess or have one extra moment in time where I have to move my body weight that I don't want to have to account for, especially if the music's a little faster. So again, my feet are together. We're going to do our box. We're going to walk forward on the left foot. We're going to go forward, side, pull in and close, switch weight. Right foot goes back. Side, pull it in, close, and switch weight. So we walk forward, side, close, switch, back, side, close, switch. Good. So when we talk about our basic steps, we're going to talk about the rhythm of the step also. So if you want to do that same step we were just doing towards me as the leader, I'll do the followers part, so that way you can hear me without me talking over my shoulder. So if this is too confusing, we don't have to do it. But if you want to start with your left foot, I'm going to say the counts. So we're going to talk in terms of slows and quicks. A slow, it represents 2 beats of music, and a quick represents 1. So we have 4 beats total for each half of our box. We're going to take our step, leaders, left leg coming forward, followers, right leg going back. for slow, and then we're going to take a side step for quick, close our feet for quick. Then our left leg followers is going to come forward while the leader's right leg goes back for slow, side step on quick, close your feet on quick. So we're using 4 counts for each half of the box, a total of 8 counts. We're walking slow, quick, close, quick, switch weight, slow, quick, close, quick, switch weight. If we use numbers, which helps people sometimes, we're counting 1, hold 2, nothing happens on 2. Then we step on 3, step on 4. Then we step on 1, hold 2, nothing happens there. Step on 3, step on 4. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Any questions up to this point? Feeling pretty good? And this is a great, excellent. I think that's a good thing, right?
A good thing.
Hey, who knows? So what we're going to do from here is talk a little bit about side steps, because we talked about forward steps and we've talked about our basic and our body position and our tone. We're going to talk a little bit about our side steps, and then we're going to do a couple of other little body drills that we can do with or without a partner in a closed space. Oh, I said I was going to give a variation on that hip drill to do with a partner, and I didn't do that. So let's take a moment and do that now, shall we? So if you do have a partner, or you can find one that's safe and healthy, what you can do is stand with your heels together, toes apart. You can put your hands up against your partner's hands and lean your center of gravity forward, or pitch. I don't like the word lean. I just don't like that word. You can pitch your center of gravity forward. Establish connection in the arms, making sure that your elbows don't soften and your chest doesn't cave in towards your partner. You get to that position, and then if we both settle the opposing hip back, so if my right hip goes back, their left hip goes back, what we should feel is a pressure in the opposite hand. If this is too much to do over a video, I understand it, but I think we can do it. So I'm flat here. If I'm taking my right hip back, my partner's taking their left hip back, then we are going to feel pressure in this connection. So from my perspective, when my right hip goes back, I'm going to feel connection in my left hand. So whatever role you're taking on, it doesn't matter. Leader, follower, guy, gal, get a buddy, hands up. Whatever hip is going back, the opposing connection should engage, and you get a little bit of pressure. You can use that not with your elbows, but you can work with your body out of that connection and take the other hip back, and that will engage the opposite connection. Because what happens when I take my hip back is that the opposing side of my upper body is going to come slightly forward. If I'm leaving my arms in mostly a 90% static position, I'm not using my elbows and my shoulders to manipulate, that's going to apply pressure to my partner's connection, right? We're going to utilize that pressure lightly to take our next hip away and connect with the other hand.
Are hips parallel or anti-parallel?
Anti-parallel? I'm not familiar.
Parallel.
Right. Anti-parallel. Perpendicular? No. Okay. Cliff teaches me about math and science all the time. I don't know how to do math. So we're here, we take the hip away. And again, this is if you have a partner. If you don't have a partner, you can use a wall. It doesn't give you quite the same feedback, but you can use a wall or a something that's sturdy, like a refrigerator, whatever you've got. But it can help. You take the hip away, anti-parallel. We feel the pressure in the opposing hand connection. We take the next hip away, and we repeat the action. So this, and I know this is such a basic action, and we're not doing a whole lot of moving, but I sincerely feel like this is so important to all of your rhythm dancing, American rhythm dancing, but especially rumba. And we're talking about that. Do you have any questions? All right, I think that's a good sign. Has everybody left the chat? Is that why we don't have any questions? Just kidding. I hope I'm kidding. All right, I'll take it. Thank you guys for putting up with me. So next thing we're going to talk about are side steps. So we've got our box. Within our box, we have forward and back steps. We also have side steps. So the idea behind a side step, if we're talking about it with technique, I'm going to find the parameters of my screen. There we go. If we're talking about a side step from a technical perspective, I'm going to take my hip or hips away from the direction I'm traveling. If I'm traveling this way, because I don't know if this is your left or your right now, to be honest, but if I'm going this way, my hip is going to go this way, right? So it's the same action that we did in the beginning with our hips switching back and forth, but this time when our hips settle away, it's going to allow us to move our leg laterally. And I arrive on that soft knee like this. And I straighten my knee to stand up and pull the other foot in with a soft knee, okay? So before we get too bogged down with talking about straight leg, soft leg, pull in, push out, whatever, this is really all it is. My hips go this way, and my body goes this way. I'm pushing my hips away, and in turn, that pushes my body in the direction I want it to go. What we're looking to avoid is this. You see how that's everything moving in the same direction? That's my hip going with my body. That's not a delayed hip. What we're after is a delayed hip action, which means the hip is going to be the last thing to catch up with my body. It goes the opposite direction. My body travels in the direction we're intending to go. And after I get there, I'll pull my hips to catch up. So my hips push away, they propel me onto my new standing leg, and I pull them to catch up. Push, pull, push, pull. So I'll do that with my back to you if that helps, because I know that helps me a lot. So I want to make sure I'm in your frame. Yep, looking good. I'm going to take my hips this direction, which I want to say is still your left. It's my left as well. I'm going to push my hips to the left as I propel my body to the right, and then pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. Good. I say good. I assume you're doing well. Good. So we're starting to talk about hips, and we're starting to talk about moving our hips, whether it's just this drill, moving forward or backward, our lateral action, our delayed hip action. We also want to make sure that at whatever level you are currently dancing at, that our body knows how to respond to what we want it to do. So, and again, focusing on things that are good for smaller spaces, because I know the reason I'm here right now is because I know I don't have a very big space to dance at. Body isolations are the foundation and the fundamentals of all of these technique aspects of dancing, all of it. If you learn how to move your body, I didn't want to say that. If you learn how to get control of your body, you won't feel like it's not doing what you want it to do. But you have to put in this separate work in order to get to that spot, right? So that means you have to stop thinking about the dancing and stop thinking about the figures and patterns and even the rhythm for right now. Plant your feet, soften your knees, and I'll do this with my back to you as well. And we need to just get in touch with our hips a little bit, right? So we have our four kind of cardinal directions where I can take my hips this way, which is my right, I think it's your left. Again, I have equal weight here, 50-50 on both feet, and my knees are soft. They're flexed. They're not straight, but they're also not like squat position. They're just soft. I can take my hips to my right, your left, and what happens, we want to talk about the physicality behind moving our hips. It's not just my hip, right? I want to use my whole core, my core muscles on the front, the side, and the back. So when I'm taking my hips to your left, my right, I'm pushing through my obliques. I'm contracting the side of my body that my hips are traveling towards, and I'm expanding the opposing side. So So when I want my hip to go straight laterally to the right, your left, I contract my right obliques, which means my left obliques are going to expand, right? And then we can go back to neutral, where everything's the same length. And then if I want to take them to this side, my left or right, I think, we can contract the left obliques, your right obliques if you're facing me, and that leaves the other side to expand. And then back to neutral. It's always important to come back to neutral and always know where neutral is so that we're not just passing through it. You've got to know what neutral feels like, because that's when you're just in a good, solid, square position to wherever your front is. I contract my obliques and lengthen the other side, and I come back to neutral. I contract my next side, and I come back to neutral. Now, we have to identify every direction our hips can move, even if we're not going to do it very frequently or almost ever. So we also have to make sure that we're talking about going forward and backward with our hips or our pelvis. So when we move our hips forward, we're contracting our abdominal muscles, like you kind of like you got punched in the stomach, and you're crunching your core, shortening your front abdominal muscles and lengthening your lower back muscles, right? So this is neutral, and this is forward. I'm crunching my core, I'm like sucking my belly button back to my spine, and I'm elongating my back, my lower back muscles. But I'm not thinking about the muscles that are elongating, I'm thinking about the contraction action. I think there's a School Health Rock video in there somewhere. So we crunch our core muscles, which elongates our back muscles, and then we go back to neutral. Again, my knees are soft and my weight is split 50-50. And then I take the same pelvic muscles, take my hips back by contracting my lower back muscles and expanding my lower abdominal muscles, and then back to neutral. So this is forward crunch, neutral, back, contracting through the lower back, neutral. So what we've got is 4 cardinal directions: forward, neutral, this way, right or left, depending on how you're facing, neutral, backward, neutral, and this way, neutral, right? So it's forward, neutral, sideways, neutral, back, neutral, other sideways, neutral. Fair? Any questions about any of this so far? Cliff is being so helpful. No? All right, I think that is a good sign. And they're still there? Okay. So to take it one step further, we've got our 4 cardinal directions, but we also want to, I'll do it this way for now. We also want to think about all of the different points on a clock, right? So my feet are apart, shoulder width approximately, my knees are soft. Now you want to picture that you're standing in the middle of a big clock. Straight ahead is 12 o'clock, behind you is 6 o'clock, and we're in ready position. We want to take our hips to each number on the clock with neutral in between each one of those all the way around the clock, okay? So our feet are set, we're in ready position. We're going to take our abdominal muscles and contract to go forward to 12 o'clock and then back to neutral. Not back to 6, but back to neutral. Then we're going to take our right hip, or your left hip if you're facing me, this hip, pick one, it's a clock, you know which one you're using, to go to 1 o'clock, which means it's going to go forward with a slight rotation and then back to neutral. And then you're going to do, I like to imagine that there's like a string pulling on my hip, that's why I'm doing this. And you're going to take it to 2 o'clock, which is forward with a little less rotation, and then back to neutral. And again, all my core muscles are engaged this whole time. I'm not like squeezing them really tightly, but I'm also not just kind of standing here. They're engaged and they're involved. Then I take my hip, just like we did a second ago, to 3 o'clock, and then back to neutral. Now we're going to take it back to 4, which means we're going back with a slight rotation to 4, back to neutral, to 5, more rotation, back to neutral. Now we're going back to 6, which we just did. 6, contract your lower back, and back to neutral. Now our left side's going to work up this part of the clock back to 12. We're going back for 7. So it's back with rotation. This is kind of like the drill we did in the beginning, taking the hip into the heel. Same action with our feet apart rather than together. So you go back to 7, back to neutral, pushing to 8, back to neutral, straight to the side to 9, just like we did before, back to neutral, forward for 10, neutral, more rotation forward for 11, and then straight back for 12. This, I can't even tell you how important this is for everything. You can do this action with your feet. You can do this action with your upper body and your rib cage. We won't do all that today, but this is the best way to get your body to be obedient to what you want it to do, so that you're in charge of your body and your body's not in charge of you. So if you want it to do something, it's receptive and it will do it for you. How are we doing with questions? All right. I've either scared them or made them understand. I don't know. We'll figure it out. What? Okay. Excellent. I thought you said 4 people. I was like, all right, that's great. So here we are. Okay, so we've done our box. I think a good sort of exercise to do as far as a basic, I say basic, they're really like, there's really no such thing as basic when you look at it from a certain perspective. But if we start with a figure like crossover breaks in the rumba, we can utilize that figure to incorporate a little bit more technique, but also give you a figure to do if you have a partner with you and something to practice on your own. So I'm going to turn my back to you and go ahead and demonstrate the leader's part for this. And the follower's part is just going to be the natural opposite of this. So we've got our box step. So what I'm going to do is one full box step before I go into our crossover break. So we're going to do what we call the top and the bottom of the box. The top of the box is when I'm going forward, side, together, forward, side, together. The bottom is when I'm going back, side, together, switching weight on both of those corners when we close our feet. When we want to go into our crossover break action, we're going to do the top of the box. So we're going to go forward, side, together. That leaves my leader's right foot free. We're going to step out of our box for slow. We are going to then do a quarter of a turn into a forward rocking action for quick, quick. And I'm going to do that with my frame so you can see how I would do it with a partner. And if there are any other view preferences or requests, please just let us know. So I've got my frame here. I'm going forward, side, together. And we're going to go right into our crossover break. I'm going to, as the leader, take my left hand down and under, so my partner has their hand on top, right? At this point, I'm going to take my side step. I'm not going to turn away from my partner just yet. I'm going to stay facing them. What I am going to do is begin to release my right hand. But the most important thing is that you don't turn away from your partner yet. So one of the biggest things I see is going forward, side, together, turn. And we'll talk about why that's not the best thing to do. It's not the worst thing to do either, but if we're talking about technique, we're going to talk about some foot stuff in a few minutes after we get through the actual components of the step. So again, leader's part, top of our box, forward on the left, side right, close. I change my left hand to have their hand on top. I take a side step, staying square with my partner. I'm going to rotate and do a forward rocking action, which means I get onto my new foot and immediately back off. So from the leader's perspective, I'm going left, right, and then back to my partner. You'll notice I still have my frame. I'm going from this connection to this connection with her hand. There it is. I'm going to rotate, quarter of a turn this direction, and do another forward rocking step. Replace my weight, come back to square up with my partner. Now I've got their hand back with my left hand again. And we're going to do one more rocking step, forward, replace, side. To get out of this, I'm going to offer a turn to my partner. My right leg is going to drop back for a rocking step. I'm going to lift my left hand up over their head. I go back, replace my weight forward, and come back to collect. Before we get to the fifth position finish, I just want to do that much again, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But what I really want to do is use this figure to facilitate talking about the technique of some turning action and rotation action. So what I'm going to do is start with the top of my box again. I'm going forward on the left foot, forward, side, together, switching my left hand so that their hand is on top. As I take a side step, I'm going to slowly release my right connection, but don't rotate away from them. I'm going to turn at the last second, and I'm really going to use my eyes to look where I'm going and find a spot, right? I'm going to rock, replace my weight, come back to my partner, and reconnect with my right hand. Same thing here. I look to my left, rotate, find a spot, rock, replace, connect with my left hand, look where I'm going, rock, replace, square up with my partner, lift my hand up and take my right leg back to mark time while they turn and then reconnect. Again, I'm not going to get into the end right now, but I would like to do the followers part, which is the natural opposite, discuss the underarm turn, and then we should have enough time to talk a little bit about how we want to do these rotation aspects of it, because this is one of my most favorite things to talk about with rumba. And this will also be conducive to the followers underarm turn as well. So as long as the viewpoint is okay, I'll do the followers part with my back to you as well. If you want a different view, let us know in the chat function, and then I can make that happen for you. Within reason. I can't do handstands. Still can't do that. Never could do that. So my followers part, we're doing the bottom of our box with my right foot free. I'm going backside close. And my leader is going to change this hand hold so that my hand is on top and down. What neither partner wants to do is this, and let their elbows get soft and rock, and kind of this action coming through. I want to maintain like I'm almost holding bicycle handlebars while I'm doing this. So even though I'm not like this, I still have a frame, and I still have tone in my frame. So I'm here, my partner is going to lead me through to do a quarter of a turn, this direction. I'm going to rock forward, replace my weight, come back to face my partner. I still have my frame here, my bicycle handlebars. I'm going to take my new connection with my left hand, quarter of a rotation, rock, replace, come back. I'm connected with my right hand now. Last time, rock, replace, come back. This is our underarm turn. This is a great component because you're going to utilize this in all of your rhythm dances and also some of your smooth dances as well. So a walk around turn. I'm on my right leg. I've got pressure in my partner's connection. My partner's going to lift the hand up. And because I have pressure there, that's going to indicate to me that it's time to turn and go under this hand. First things first, followers, it is your leader's responsibility to indicate the turn and lift the hand up, but it's your responsibility, if they don't lift it up high enough, to push it up further. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I see people duck under the hand, and to be honest, it's leaders that do this more than followers. We'll get to that. I want to say next time. I don't know when next time is, but we'll get to that. Whoever's turning under the arm, don't duck. Just lift it up a little higher. Even if you're the follower, it's okay. Push it up so that it clears your head. And this is probably like, if you're on the shorter side, you might not have experienced this phenomenon, but I've witnessed it. And it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just kind of funny to me. I'm looking at Cliff, I'm sorry. It's helpful to have an actual person here to talk to. So, we're turning under the arm. My partner is going to begin the turn. Like I said, I'm going to make sure that hand gets over my head so I don't compromise my posture and my body position to get under the arm, right? I'm not doing that. So I'm here. I'm going to come under my arm. I'm on my right leg. I'm going to take my left leg, step over my right leg, glue my left leg to the floor and swivel. My right leg doesn't move. I replace my weight onto my right leg, come back to face my partner, and take a side step. All right, so that's up to that point. That's where we're at so far. Okay, so one more time with the walk around turn. We're stepping side onto the right leg after we did our last crossover break. I'm going slow, crossing my left leg over my right leg, quick, turning and replacing weight, quick, turning and stepping side, slow. All right? This is one of my favorite things to talk about as far as technique and rotation. So every time we're rotating, and rumba is a great place to visualize this because it's slower, right? And to me, it's more geometric. And I mean that in like a pretty way. I like the angular, that's how I see it in my head, right? And I think it's really pretty. So we're kind of thinking about a footprint here. And I'm taking a side step. Whenever I rotate, I need to rotate on my standing leg. What I mean by that is if you watch and I step onto my right leg, if I need to turn this direction, it's not going to happen from this leg coming across and pulling my body, right? It's going to happen because my standing leg, we're kind of coming full circle a little bit right now because in the beginning of the class, we talked about our standing leg gets us to our next step. When we're rotating, my standing leg is going to actually facilitate the rotation. It's going to be responsible for all of it. I'm on my right leg. I'm going to do a quarter of a turn on my right leg. So there. I'm going to step straight forward onto my left leg. And I hope all of my participants are doing this if you so choose, not just my followers, because everyone gets to do this component at some point. I'm going to step straight forward onto my left leg. And at this juncture, I'm going to do a half a turn all on my left leg, leaving my right leg where it is, about face. Okay? From here, my right leg is free. I place my weight on my right leg. I do another quarter turn to the right. And then at this point, I just simply step to the side. Well, and that's your walk around turn if I'm being really picky, which I like to do at this because it's fun. And it's not that tricky. And you'll see that this action or this concept is all over the place. This is one of the most important things that I really had that light bulb moment where it helped me be a better dancer, but it helped me be more in charge of my dancing. And especially with turning figures and rotating figures, it made it so I didn't feel like I was as out of control or at the mercy of my momentum. It made me feel like I was in control of what I was doing and I was in control of my momentum, right? So we'll go ahead and do this again the same way, one direction, and then we're going to connect it and do the same turn the other direction, which is why it's important that everyone's doing this together because we're going to do both directions and everyone's going to do this going both directions at some point. All right, thank you. Oh, let's change one of his gloves. I don't know what the significance of that is. Right hand, left hand? No. Oh, right. So we're going to take a side step without rotation. Complete transfer of weight. Then I'm going to do a quarter turn to the right on my right leg. My left leg just pulls in. I'm going to step forward on my left leg. My full weight transfers. Once my full weight transfers, I'm going to do a half of a turn again to my right, staying on my left leg. My feet stay in the same orientation as I do that. Nothing moves, nothing pulls, nothing pushes. I go from my left leg to my left leg. That's the rotation. Then I'm going to step onto my right leg and do another quarter of a turn to the right. And then I'm going to step to the side. At this point, in the figure, we could be done. But since we're going to do this as a drill so you can get the most out of it when you're practicing at home, we're going to do it on the other side. So we're on our left leg. We're going to do a quarter turn to the left and pull our right leg underneath. We're going to step forward and shift our weight. We are going to do a half a turn to the left, staying on the right leg, leaving the left leg where it was. Good. I'm going to I say good. You're doing good. I'm going to transfer weight forward, do a quarter of a turn to the left, and come back to my partner on the side. And you're going to make like a figure 8 with this action, so you can do it in both directions. Essentially, right, excuse me. Essentially, here we're going to pick up where we started. We're on our right leg. We rotate, quarter turn. I step forward, I rotate to the right a half a turn. I step forward, I rotate to the right a quarter turn. I step side and I square up. Good. Same thing, other direction. I take my left leg and I rotate, quarter turn. Step forward on the right leg. Establish your presence on the foot before you begin to turn, and turn into the heel of your foot. Step forward, establish your presence on the foot, quarter rotation, side step, establish your presence on the foot. So your weight is there. And you rotate, you put your weight there, and then you rotate, you put your weight there fully, and then you rotate, and then side step, square to your partner. Any questions? We're kind of coming to the end, I think. So I want to make sure.
We started a little late.
Okay.
So I was going to give you a signal in like a minute.
Okay.
But you have 10 minutes.
Okay, cool, excellent. So we're all on the same page. So now we can put that all together and go from the beginning of those crossover breaks, and that's just the turn. And I say just the turn. It's a really important part of all of our rhythm dancing because you're going to do that turn a lot, like I was saying before, with the leaders and the followers. What we're going to do is start with the crossover breaks, and I'm going to show you how that same concept is woven into the crossover break action. Okay, so again, let's start with the leaders part. Once we get past the top of our box, we're going to talk about the same rotation, getting on your standing leg and then doing the rotation within the crossover breaks. So leaders, or whoever wants to do the leaders part, you do the top of the box, forward side together, and here you change that hand, and that's why I made such a big deal about this next step being square to your partner. You're going to stay square. You're going to wait as long as you can, and then if you're on your right leg, you're going to turn with your right leg. You are not going to pull your left leg through. You're going to take your right leg and rotate. That will pull your left leg through. It'll get there. Don't worry about it. You're going to rock. You're going to come back to face your partner and square up. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to take my left side of my body, not the hip, not the leg, it's the whole side of my body. I'm going to take the whole side of my body back, do a quarter turn on my left foot. If I maintain my frame and the tone in my arms, that's going to bring my partner through with me. So we do a quarter rotation. I rock, replace my weight, square up with my partner. Same thing. Right side goes back, brings my left side through. We rock, come back, square up. I stay square with my partner while I allow them to do this underarm turn. Now, since not everybody, but since I would say a majority of us probably don't have a partner right now, let's go ahead and turn this into a free turn where the leader and the follower both do the walk around turn we just practiced. So everybody gets a chance to practice that. So we're going to do a crossover break from the leader's perspective to the right, finish. We rotate, we rock and replace, we come back to face. We're going to let go completely here. And we're going to commence our walk around turn. So I let go of my partner. I take my left side, I pull it back, quarter turn. I step forward onto my right, half a turn. I settle into my heel before I step forward onto my left foot, quarter turn. And I step out of my left leg. This comes back to our side steps. I push my hip to the side, just square up with my partner. All right, so that's my leader's perspective. Okay, from the follower's perspective, we are going to go from the bottom of our box, same thing, just kind of reversed. Let's cover that. Are there any questions so far? This is good. We're going to have just enough time to do all the things I wanted to do, I think. So I think, is that a good thing?
We're fine.
Okay. It's a good thing, right?
I don't know.
I don't know either. All right, let me make sure I'm there. So we're going to do the followers part now, starting from the bottom of our box with the right leg. Throwing back on the right side, close your feet. Your partner's going to change the handhold of your right hand. You're going to take a side step, staying square with your partner. Your partner's going to rotate. Because you're maintaining tone in your right arm, you're going to feel that rotation and you're going to turn too. But it should signal your left leg to do the rotating to here. Yes, and now we're gonna put our weight on our front foot, rock and replace, come back to square with your partner. I'm gonna rotate to the right, quarter turn on the right leg, push off my right leg to get my weight onto my left, back onto my right and back square. My left leg has my weight now, it's gonna turn a quarter of a turn to the left. I'm gonna rock forward, replace my weight, come back square. Good, now here's our underarm turn. At this point, what I've instructed the leaders to do right now is to let go so we can both do the walk around turn together. We rock, replace, they let go. I'm on my right leg. This is where we started to implement what we were working on a few minutes ago. I do a quarter of a turn with the right leg. I walk forward on the left leg, do a half of a turn. I walk forward on the right leg, do a quarter of a turn, and a side step square with my partner. Good. So getting out of this, we should probably do that for posterity. We're going to do a 5th position recovery step, okay? So all that is, since I'm speaking from the followers part right now, I'll start with their part because we have a little bit more to do anyways. We're in connection with our partner, facing here. My arm goes around their shoulders. I'm going to take my right leg back and do a 5th position rock, which means my feet are being in a 5th foot position, slightly extended toe to heel. I'm going to rock, replace my weight. I'm going to do a recovery step. I think about the recovery step starting from the head, working its way down. I don't want to think about my hips and my feet right here. We don't have time. It happens pretty quick. I'm going to go quick, quick. I'm going to take my nose and turn it to my partner, and then step back, side, together. It's very important as the follower that I maintain tone in my arms after I do this recovery step, because they're going to indicate to us how big of a step they're going to take, what direction it's going to go exactly, and how fast it's going to go, all by their frame, their upper body. So when I do my recovery step, I'm going to rock, replace, I'm going to turn my head, and I am going to think about keeping them away from me. Keep them back, and they are going to put me on my back foot, side, close. Okay? I think out of everything, this is going to be I think this is going to be the trickier thing to convey, A, without a partner, and B, over video. So again, questions, please ask. Cliff is reading right now. From my leader's perspective, we pick up our partner after we do the free walk around turn. We pick up our partner in my right arm. I'm going to take my left foot, drop it behind my right foot. Both partners, be mindful not to open up too much with your shoulders. You don't need to go that far, because however far you open away from your partner, you have to then come back, and then that's just unnecessary effort. We don't want to have to work that hard. Make it more of a hip and a leg thing. So they reconnect. I've got my right hand on their shoulder. I'm going to take my left foot behind, rock, replace. I'm going to use my top to encourage my partner to come back in front of me. This is where they turn their head around back to dance position. That's going to help me out. We reconnect. Again, just like I told my followers, I don't let my elbows sink back. I need to think about taking my partner and putting them back on their foot so that I have clearance to step forward, and they know how far I'm going, where I'm going, and how fast I'm doing. Okay, fair? So leaders, from the walk around turn, left foot's free, stepping side to the left. Side, rotate, forward, half turn, forward quarter turn, reconnect with my right arm. We're both going to do a small back rocking step with minimal opening away from each other. Rock, replace, help my partner come in front of me and walk forward while sending and encouraging them to step back on their foot. Side, close, and we're back into our box. Whew, that was 10 minutes, I guess. That was well timed. So if you have any lingering questions, I guess you can do that. But if not, I hope that everybody was able to get something or multiple things, best case scenario, out of this. And thank you for coming and listening to me. That was a lot. I talk a lot. That was a lot even for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Oh my God. Hi, everybody. It's Cindy back again. And Tara, oh my gosh. Thank you for such an excellent Rumba class. Lots of information, great practice material. We so appreciate you joining us tonight, Tara. Thank you very much. And to all of our participants out there tonight, thank you for joining us. As a dance community, we all value our dedicated dance professionals in the studios where they practice and where we learn from them and where we enjoy our social dancing with each other. In this extremely unusual time, we're all trying to join together to support each other in so many ways in our dance community. So USA Dance has tried to make it very, very easy for you, if you wish, to send a tip to our Zoom class teachers. You can use PayPal to send a contribution to Tara using the following email address, and I will put this in the chat also. Her email address is tbmcgough@gmail.com. So thank you very much. And at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Clifford for any closing remarks.
I actually don't have any closing remarks other than just to say good evening and thank you very much for participating. We are not quite sure about our plans for July, but we will let you know by Facebook and email.
Continue to type any feedback, comments in the chat. We'll review them. You can also email us with any feedback you want at usadancecharlottesville@gmail.com. And you can feel free to start unmuting yourselves. We can have some social time still until about 8:30 if anyone's interested in sticking around and chatting.